Kartama. Eka swayam sanjagata sisrikshaya. Eka swayam sanjagata sisrikshaya. Dvitiyayatman yoga-māyā. Dvitiyayatman yoga-māyā. Srijasyada pasi punargrashishyase. Srijasyada pasi punargrashishyase. Yathornanabhir bhagavan swashaktibihi. Yathornanabhir bhagavan swashaktibihi. Ekasvayam sanjagata srisrikshaya. Dvitiyayatman yoga-māyā. Srijasyada pasi punargrashisyase. Yathornanabhir bhagavan swashaktibihi. Ekasvayam sanjagata sisrikshaya. Dvitiyayatman yoga-māyā. Srijasyada pasi punargrashisyase. Yathornanabhir bhagavan swashaktibihi. Bhagavan swashaktibihi. What? Go ahead. Ekaha, one. Swayam, yourself. Sun, being. Jagataha, universes. Sisikshaya, with a desire to create. Advitiyaya, without a second. Atman, in yourself. Adhi, controlling. Yoga-māyā, by yoga-māyā. Srijasi, you create. Adaha, those universes. Pasi, you maintain. Punaha, again. Grasishyase, you will wind up. Yatha, like. Urnanabhihi, a spider. Bhagavan, O Lord. Swashaktibihi, by its own energy. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swamy Srila Prabhupada. Translation. My dear Lord, you alone create the universes. O Personality of Godhead, desiring to create, O Personality of Godhead, desiring to create these universes, you create them, maintain them, and again wind them up by your own energies, which are under the control of your second energy called yoga-māyā. Just as a spider creates a cobweb by its own energy and again winds it up. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In this verse, two important words nullify the impersonalist theory that everything is God. Here Kardama says, O Personality of Godhead, you are alone, but you have various energies. The example of the spider is also very significant. The spider is an individual living entity, and by its energy, it creates a cobweb and plays on it, and whenever it likes, it winds up the cobweb, thus ending the play. When the cobweb is manufactured by the saliva of the spider does not become impersonal. Similarly, the creation and manifestation of the material or spiritual energy does not render the creator impersonal. Here the very prayer suggests that God is sentient and can hear the prayers and fulfill the desires of the devotee. Therefore, He is Satchidananda Vigraha, the form of bliss, knowledge and eternity. Please repeat the translation. My dear Lord, you alone create the universes. O Personality of Godhead, desiring to create these universes, you create them, maintain them, and again wind them up by your own energies, which are under the control of your second energy, called yoga-māyā. Just as the spider creates a cobweb by its own energy and again winds it up. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshitarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this verse, Kardama Muni is offering prayer to Lord Vishnu, who has appeared in front of him. The chapter is titled Conversations between Manu and Kardama, which will happen later after the few verses. So Brahma had requested Kardama Muni to create progeny. That was the service given by Lord Brahma to Kardama Muni, and for that purpose Kardama Muni, before progeny, he wanted to take some tapasya, some austerity, so that the progeny will be good quality, they'll be spiritually strong, They'll follow all the religious principles. So he was doing tapasya. And he did tapasya, Kardama Muni did tapasya for 10,000 years. And after doing tapasya for 10,000 years, Lord Vishnu was very pleased with him, and he appears in front of him, gives him darshan. In the 13th in the 13th verse, it is said, Samsiddhim akshnosh tava darshanam naha. He says, Kardama Muni is saying that Samsiddhyam akshnos. Siddhi means the perfection. Samsiddhi means complete perfection or the greatest perfection. So what is the greatest perfection of these two eyes that we have received? To see the Lord. And he has done that. No ordinary thing. This is a very significant thing, this conversation. Vishnu is standing in front of Kardama Muni, giving him darshan. And Kardama Muni is able to see him, and this is the perfection of life. This is what our eyes are meant for. So Kardama Muni is offering series of prayers. And this prayer he says, My dear Lord, you alone create the universes, O Personality of Godhead, desiring to create the universes. He not only creates, Krishna creates them, maintains them, and winds them up again by his own energy. And he does all this through his yoga-māyā. And the example is given, just as the spider creates a cobweb by its own energy and again winds it up. So here, Prabhupada in the purport is writing that in this shloka, Kardama Muni, the way he's explaining, the way he's glorifying the Lord, it shows that the Lord is not impersonal. Because number one, the Lord has appeared in front of him. So where is the question of the Lord being impersonal? He has a form. That's why Krishna is called Satchid Ananda Vigraha. And Krishna creates, he maintains, and he winds up. So everything is under the control of Krishna. That's why Krishna says, Mattaha parataram nanyat. There is nothing higher than me. Anything that you see in the material world undergoes these three phases. We create something, and then it lives for some time, and finally it ends. Right? Anything in the material world is summarized under these three. And all these three things are under the control of Krishna. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita also, Aham Adis cha Antya cha, and he's Madhya also. He is the beginning, he is the middle, and he is the end. And Prabhupada in this and he gives a nice example of the cobweb, how a spider manufactures a cobweb through a saliva, and it plays on it, it sleeps on it, it plays on it, it works on it, and when time comes, it winds it up again. So during all these three phases, because one popular notion is, no, Krishna he created, but then after his creation, because all his energy has gone into creation, so he does not exist. Right? Like suppose 2000 rupees note. You use it up, after that will the 2000 rupees note exist? No. But this is not the right example. Krishna is spiritual. So the example of spider is given here, that the spider, even after, in all these three stages, when he's creating and when it's playing, maintaining, or when it has finished winding up, the spider is always existing. And similarly, Krishna is always existing. Shri Radha Govinda ki. So Krishna is always existing like the spider is always existing. And there are two more. The spider does not become impersonal in any of these three phases. He was always existing. And then one more example, Prabhupada is writing, example giving in this purport to explain that Krishna is personal. He says, Kardama Muni is offering prayer. And so if God is being offered prayer, that means God is hearing, right? An impersonal thing cannot hear. Hearing means I have ears. So ear means personality. Ear it has a form. And God not only hears our prayers, He is satisfied with our prayers and He blesses us with many benedictions. So it's all, these things cannot happen if there is something impersonal. And the very fact that, so Prabhupada concludes the purport that therefore he is called Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha. Sat means eternal, Chit means he is full of knowledge, and Ananda means he is full of happiness. Vigraha means he has a form. So the form of bliss, knowledge and eternity. God is sentient and can hear the prayers and fulfill the desires of the devotee. So here it is mentioned, fulfill the desires of the devotee. So we have many desires, but actually the desire that we should maintain in our life, like Prabhupada says, if you practice Krishna consciousness very seriously, in this lifetime, you can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prabhupada also said that we should not try to see God, but we should work in such a way that God appears in front of us. That also he mentioned. Can we see God? Like here we see Kardama Muni saw God, and he considers this as the perfection of eyes. So there is, Prabhupada in one lecture, he addresses this point about can we see God? He gives different various understandings, but actually there should be something that should be consuming us in our spiritual life every day. God exists, and if God exists, because many times devotees ask, once Prabhupada was asked this question, Swamiji, if God exists and there's so much of atheism in the world today, why not God just shows himself up? If God just shows himself up in one shot, all problems of the world is solved, isn't it? Because God has shown himself up in front of us. Over, finished. And then God can talk and so many things, and then. So Prabhupada answers this very nicely. There's a lecture on it, and the lecture is titled, Can We See God? And he says, yes, God can be seen. He can be seen the way Arjuna was seeing God, Krishna, in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, face to face. Like Kunti Maharani was seeing Krishna face to face. You can also see God. But before that, a qualification is needed. You cannot just see God. See, what is the qualification Kardama Muni achieved? What was his qualification? 10,000 years tapasya. He qualified himself to see God. So what is our qualification? And Prabhupada gives that example of a person is driving down on the highway in his car. He is the owner of the car. And the driver is driving him down, and the car breaks down in the highway. So the owner of the car, he's a rich man, he's a billionaire. Driver is a small salaried man, 15,000-20,000 rupees he must be earning. They both get off the car, open the bonnet, and they're seeing what has gone wrong. The billionaire is seeing the car, and the driver is also seeing the car. But both of them see it differently. Who do you think is the qualified person to see the car and identify the mistake? The driver. Because he's a qualified mechanic. But this person may have had a lot of degrees, but he hasn't received the qualification, so he cannot. So Prabhupada says that if just to see some material objects, some machine, you need to have qualification, you want to see God without any qualification? Or you want to see God with your imagined qualification? Krishna says, Naham prakasha sarvasya yoga-māyā samavrita. I am not visible to anyone and everyone. You need to be qualified. So, what is the qualification? So, I have been told that God exists. I can see God. Wow. How can I see God? I want to see God. This is the qualification. What is that? An eagerness should be there. I want to see God. So actually our qualification, Prabhupada has so beautifully explained, We don't have to do tapasya for 10,000 years. Our lifetime itself is 100 years. But if you can develop this qualification, I want to see God. Kardama Muni saw God. Arjuna saw God. Kunti saw God. And Prabhupada is also saying that I can also see God in this life. So I must act in such a way, and I want to see God. It's not like this question, can you show me God? Can God be seen? This is like, this is not a frivolous thing. Can you show me God? Can God be seen? Why doesn't God appear? It's not a simple thing. It's a very serious thing. I want to see God. This is samsiddhim akshaha. So the only qualification that Prabhupada explains is the eagerness. If you can somehow or other bring in that eagerness in yourself, I wish to see God. This is the perfection of life. Just like Dhruva Maharaj, when he saw God, how Dhruva Maharaj also saw God just by becoming eager. And he was chanting a mantra. And then when he saw God, what was the result of his seeing God? Tvam praptivan deva munindra guhyam. It's very difficult to see God. Deva munindra guhyam. Deva munindra, because it says God can be seen by the demigods, Deva, Muni, sages. They are the highest personalities who can see God. Guhyam, even it's not so easy for them also to see God. And I was trying to see God. Sthana vilashi tapasi sthitoham. I was doing tapasya. But now after having seen you, I am feeling so satisfied and so happy that I do not have any material desires. The material desires that I was having to win over, to have a big kingdom, and bigger kingdom than my father, I am thinking that, these are the asks that we have in the material world, like dhanam dehi, give me this, give me that, give me wealth, give me good progeny, give me on all material things. I am feeling that the sum total of all my material asks were like pieces of broken glass. And after having seen you, I am feeling you are the most valuable jewel. This is seeing God. Prabhupada tells another nice story that there was once a thief. That thief, by profession, he has to steal. So once he went into a place where a professional reciter was reciting Srimad Bhagavatam. So he sat down. A lot of people were very attentively hearing the professional Bhagavatam. So he thought it's a good place for me to steal. People will be absorbed in hearing and I can take away the jewelry. So he was hearing, and the professional reciter was he was telling the story about Krishna. Krishna lives in Vrindavan, and he was describing the beauty of Lord Krishna. How Krishna is so beautiful. And then he went on to explain that Krishna, Mother Yashoda, adorns Krishna with beautiful jewelry. He has a jeweled crown, a golden crown. He says, the thief became very attentive in hearing him. Because golden crown, and he has golden earrings, he becomes even more attentive. And like that, the professional reciter is describing about Krishna, golden earring, golden crown, golden waist belt, golden armlet, or golden bangle. So the thief thought, wow, if I can just plunder Krishna, and he's a small boy, not so difficult to convince a small boy or to plunder a small boy. So he thought, if I can take away the jewelry of this Krishna, he didn't know who's Krishna, but that professional Bhagavatam recited, so he became eager. Then I will become millionaire overnight, and then I can give up my profession of stealing. I don't have to steal for my entire life. So he was very happy, and he heard the whole class, where is Krishna? Krishna is in Vrindavan. So actually he was describing Krishna recently, but he thought Krishna is actually existing. He's living in simple thief, but anyway, that was mental. So he goes back home, tells the plan to his wife. Wife says, looks like you've become bewildered and you're an illusion. And what are you saying? He says, if I go steal Krishna's jewelry, I'll become a millionaire, and then we don't have to steal, and then we'll... So like this, wife says, okay, you do whatever you want, and then he goes to Vrindavan. And there he goes on asking people, where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? So people thought some Krishna is asking. They didn't realize that God Krishna is asking, where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? So when one person understood, he says, really? You want to see God? Very good. You have a good eagerness. If this eagerness you have, God can be seen. So you see, this thief's qualification, he was a thief He wanted to go and steal Krishna's jewelry, but that qualification was he somehow or other developed that great eagerness. I want to see Krishna and I want to steal his jewelry. How can Krishna be seen? So you see, anything applied to God becomes absolute. Actually, to steal is not, stealing is bad. But seeing God to steal his jewelry becomes transcendental. See how that's why Krishna is called Makhan Chor. He's a thief. But his thievery is worshipped. Because it's Krishna. When Krishna kills also, that person goes back to God. He goes to the spiritual kingdom. He attains liberation. So that is why Prabhupada explains, somehow or other develop this eagerness. So he goes to he goes to Vrindavan, and then somebody says you'll find him in the forest of Vrindavan. So he goes to the forest and loudly starts crying, Krishna, Krishna, eager to see him. Now Krishna sees what's there in your heart. Krishna saw in his heart, he is genuinely developed somehow or the other, whether it's for stealing or whatever, he has genuinely developed eagerness for seeing me. Krishna appears. He didn't do 10,000 years tapasya, you see. But so quickly he appeared. Of course, that was Sati Yoga, and he did 10,000 years tapasya, and that's how Kardama Muni saw him. But for us, Prabhupada gave us this simple method of eagerness. So Krishna appeared, and he saw Krishna exactly in the same way as the professional Bhagavatam reciter had described. He was so happy. He saw it's decorated with all the jewelry. And then Krishna starts talking to him, and he starts talking, and then he proposes his plan. Krishna, can you please give me all your jewelry? So Krishna was playing. Actually, Krishna appeared. Why? Because he saw that eagerness in him, and Krishna wanted to purify him. So Krishna, he was playing with him. Krishna says, no, if I give you all my jewelry, my mother Yashoda will scold me. Where is all your jewelry? So I cannot give you all your jewelry. And slowly, by conversing with Krishna, he was becoming purified. And then finally, when he became purified completely, very quickly you become purified if you come in contact with Krishna. It doesn't take time. You just need to contact Krishna. So then Krishna says, okay, I'm ready to give you all my jewelry. Please take whatever you want. And when Krishna offered all his jewelry, what did he say? The same thing like Dhruva Maharaj said. See, Dhruva Maharaj, such an exalted soul. But here you see this thief also came to the same position. What did he say? No, Krishna, I don't want any jewelry of yours. I am so happy and satisfied. Sukham akshayam ashnute. Sukham, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, the sukha that you will get by seeing Krishna or by coming in contact with Krishna is akshayam. Akshayam means unlimited. And it's not just some philosophy that Bhagavad Gita is saying. What is this unlimited happiness? Ashnute. Ashnute means you can actually experience that happiness, so much happiness that gold, ornament and the big kingdom, everything becomes meaningless. This is seeing Krishna. So this eagerness is required in life. How can I become eager to see Krishna? And then Prabhupada further goes on to explain, how do you become eager to see Krishna? It's not so easy. It's easy and not so easy. We should know the right process. So we are so blessed. Prabhupada has given us such a simple method to develop eagerness. We all want to develop eagerness. We just have to take to this process of Krishna consciousness, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, with all seriousness. If you take to this process of Shravanam, Kirtanam, and Prabhupada also says association of devotees. So like this, the whole morning program is association because we are doing the morning program with our devotees, and it is also Shravanam and Kirtanam. If you take to these simple processes with utmost seriousness, then this eagerness can be developed in us also. And the first thing is chanting attentively, doing quality chanting. So we always talk about this quality chanting. What is quality chanting? Of course, we know it. So, Prabhupada talks about 5 interesting, this is called the 5 C's of chanting. And these 5 C's of chanting summarizes quality chanting. The first C is chanting has got 10 offenses, right? We must avoid them carefully. So the first C of good chanting is carefully avoid the Dasa aparadh. Blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their life for propagating the holy name of the Lord, to consider the Guru as an ordinary person, and so many offenses. The second C is to very cautiously chant. Why we must cautiously chant, carefully avoid the 10 offenses, and cautiously chant? Why we have to be very cautious in chanting? Because this chanting, the holy name, is not different from Krishna. So Krishna and the holy name, what is the difference? There is no difference. So when we are chanting, Krishna is personally coming. Krishna is personally appearing. So if Krishna is like the most important person, he is the supreme personality of Godhead. So if a VVIP walks in your room where you are sitting, how cautiously you will attend to him, how you will be so cautious in your dealings, in your talking. When a VVIP comes to your room, will you attend to something else? No, you'll be very cautious in your dealings with him. So similarly, we must be very, very cautiously chanting the holy name, because knowing that I am engaging with Krishna person. So since Krishna personality is present personally, I must be very cautious. During chanting, not talking. During chanting, not doing anything. Not chanting and doing something. No. Now this is my appointment. 2 hours is my appointment with Krishna. I should forget everything else and just pay attention to Krishna. The third C is that we must concentrate on hearing. It is important to fully concentrate on the sound syllable. If we don't concentrate on hearing, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Naam akshara bahir aaya, naam nahi aaya. Naam akshara bahir hoya, naam nahi hoya. The akshara is coming out. Hare Krishna, but if you're not hearing, naam nahi hoya. The naam is not happening. That's the third C. The fourth C, now you are hearing very attentively, but the syllable should also be pakka. So the fourth C is clear chanting. Suppose you hear very attentively, but you're chanting something else, like we eat up sometimes our syllables in chanting. Hare Krishna, you're hearing one monotone sound is going on, or some tone is going on, you're hearing, but the hearing will not make any effect. Because the clear chanting, that's why Prabhupada says clear and distinctly chant, or clear chanting. Hare Krishna Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So like this. So when you clearly chant, then and concentrate on hearing, that is very good. That is very effective. Very quickly you connect with Krishna. And the fifth C is we must actually continuously chant. Kirtaniya sada harihi. Nirantara nama lao. In Chaitanya Charitamrita it says that. So, and to chant constantly, how do we come to the platform of chanting constantly or continuously? By chanting 16 rounds every day, carefully. So when we come to the state, actually a state will come where you will feel like chanting, not stopping at your 16 rounds. So these are the 5 C's. Carefully avoid the offenses, cautiously chant, concentrate on hearing, clear chanting, and continuously chant. When we engage in this kind of a chanting, this is called quality chanting. This is called nice chanting. Like Prabhupada in the 1976, 75 or 76, he wrote many letters to his disciple, and in about more than a dozen of letters, about 16 letters, he's writing the same line. And that line he writes, chant 16 good rounds. Prabhupada doesn't say chant 16 rounds. He says chant 16 good rounds. So if we engage in Krishna's consciousness in chanting in this way, it's not so difficult to develop that eagerness. That eagerness will automatically come in, and that will qualify us to see God. Srila Prabhu. So these are the few things. Kardama Muni has seen Krishna, and he is so blissful that he is offering his prayers, and these are the things. And then later in this chapter we will see that Krishna also will tell him that Swayambhu Manu will come and he'll offer his daughter Devahuti, and then you can marry him and create good progeny, and that will be the conversation. Manu, the father of Devahuti, will come and he will offer him, and that there will be a conversation between Manu and Kardama, and that is how this chapter concludes. So these are the few things. Any questions anybody has? Yes. Hare Krishna, respectful. What constitutes this offensive chanting?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so there are 10 offenses in chanting the holy names of the Lord. The first offense is to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their life for propagating the holy names of the Lord.
Please, how can one blaspheme the devotee?
How can one blaspheme?
What are the actions that can constitute blaspheming the devotee of Lord Krishna?
Yeah, what are the actions that constitute the blasphemy of the Lord? So you can blaspheme a devotee of the Lord by your actions, by your words, and by your mind. So the highest is blaspheming devotees in thoughts. So in thoughts, words, and deeds. So I should not do something to a devotee, physically I should not do something, or even more than that. Of course, to that extent none of us go. But speaking very nicely, speaking respectfully, speaking gently. If a devotee says something to us, we should understand what he's saying, why is he saying. If we are being corrected by a devotee, a senior devotee or anybody, we should understand that it's for my benefit. Very quickly and very easily we make opinions about a devotee and we say something. Or even if that devotee is senior or whoever it is and we don't want to say something and we are afraid of saying something, in my mind I make an opinion about a devotee. So the mind blasphemy of a devotee is the greatest thing that we have to overcome. Always thinking good of everyone all the time. And a devotee is also, he's my God brother, he's also son of Krishna. So this is like this, and then there are many other offenses. Second offense is to consider the names of demigods like Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva to be equal to or independent of Lord Krishna. So to consider that that Krishna's name and other Devata's name, that is Shiva and like Brahma and other Devatas are one and the same. No, Krishna is the highest. Krishna's name cannot be equated with any other devata. Third offense is to disobey the orders of the spiritual master and consider him as an ordinary person. Prabhupada is not ordinary. He is the most exalted person. Fourth offense is to give some mundane interpretation to the holy name of the Lord. That this holy name cannot give you love of Godhead by chanting the holy name. You're giving your own interpretation. We have to give the interpretation of the scriptures. Fifth offense is to consider the glories of chanting as imagination. By chanting you will develop love of Godhead. By chanting you will develop, to consider these things as imagination. Sixth offense is to give some mundane interpretation. Seventh offense is to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. Oh, chant. Seventh offense is to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. eighth offense is to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities mentioned in the Vedas as fruitive activities. This means in the Vedas, there are some fruitive activities, yagna. If you do, you get some benefit. So holy name also you consider, it will give me some fruits. Of course, that is a byproduct, but we should not equate Krishna's name also as like that, as a fruitive, as I can chant Krishna and I can get my fruit. This is also an offense. Chanting Krishna's name is to please Krishna, is to satisfy Krishna. Ninth offense is to, he's writing down, he's telling me to. Thank you. Ninth offense is to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. To a faithless person, you can talk about the holy name, you can make him chant the holy name, but to a faithless person, we don't talk about the glories of the holy name. By chanting Hare Krishna, tears will come out of your eyes, hairs will, all those things we don't tell him. That is automatic when he develops some faith. Now only. And 10th offense is not to have complete faith in the chanting of the holy name. And to maintain material attachments in spite of having understood. 10th offense is not to have complete faith in the chanting of, and to maintain material attachments in spite of understanding so many instructions about the holy name. And it is also offensive to be inattentive while chanting. So every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must carefully avoid these 10 offenses in order to quickly achieve, we chant that every day in the morning, in order to quickly achieve the desired success, which is Krishna Prema. So we can get Krishna Prema by chanting this Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, my respectful teacher. I now understand very clearly.
Thank you.
శ్రీకృష్ణుణ్ణి చేరుకోవడానికి కృష్ణ భక్తిని అందరికీ అందించటానికి బృందావనం వైపు ఉరకలేస్తున్న యమునోత్రి. విష్ణుపాదమే తన పుట్టినిల్లుగా కైలాసం చేరుకోవడానికి పరుగులు తీస్తున్న గంగోత్రి. కురుక్షేత్ర ఘోరహత్యా పాపం శంకరుణ్ణి శాంతపరచడం లక్ష్యంగా పాండవులు నిర్మించిన కేదార్నాథ్. సమస్త సాధు పుంగవులకు, ఋషులకు, ఆధ్యాత్మిక సాధనకు స్ఫూర్తినిచ్చే నరనారాయణులను నడయాడిన ప్రదేశం బద్రీనాథ్.
హరే కృష్ణ గోల్డెన్ టెంపుల్ వారి మరో అపురూప కానుక హరే కృష్ణవాణి ఆధ్యాత్మిక మాసపత్రిక. ఇప్పుడు మొబైల్ యాప్ ద్వారా కూడా సులభంగా పత్రికలు చదువుకునే సౌకర్యం, వార్షిక సభ్యత్వం, భగవద్గీత, భాగవత ప్రవచనాలు, స్ఫూర్తి సందేశాలు, ఇంకా మరెన్నో సదుపాయాలతో హరే కృష్ణవాణి మొబైల్ యాప్ నేడే డౌన్లోడ్ చేసుకోండి. మరిన్ని వివరాల కోసం కాల్ చేయండి 9133107700.
శ్రీకృష్ణుణ్ణి చేరుకోవడానికి కృష్ణ భక్తిని అందరికీ అందించటానికి బృందావనం వైపు ఉరకలేస్తున్న యమునోత్రి. విష్ణుపాదమే తన పుట్టినిల్లుగా కైలాసం చేరుకోవడానికి పరుగులు తీస్తున్న గంగోత్రి. కురుక్షేత్ర ఘోరహత్యా పాపం శంకరుణ్ణి శాంతపరచడం లక్ష్యంగా పాండవులు నిర్మించిన కేదార్